introduce to you your hostess for today. She is first class passenger Margaret Brown.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm one of the first class passengers on board the Titanic. My name is Margaret Brown. You probably know me as the unsinkable Molly Brown. But in real life, no one ever called me Molly. That was a Hollywood thing. You see, they made a musical about me in 1964 and decided when you sang my name in my musical, it didn't sound right. So they gave me the nickname Molly when my nickname was actually Maggie. So all these years, it should have been the unsinkable Maggie Brown. So you can help me get that changed. Now today, we're going to do an off-Broadway read. It's about 3 real people that were on the Titanic. There were 2,208 people on board the Titanic, and once again, these are real stories. So I'd like to introduce to you a crew member. His name is Harold Bride. He is a wireless operator. His job is to communicate between ships and land and between other ships. His job is very important. There were 133 children on board. I'd like to introduce to you 9-year-old Frankie Goldsmith. He's traveling with his parents to America. Today, I want you to be a part of our off-Broadway read. I'm going to give you 3 words. The words are hope, courage, and resilience. Pick one of us. Listen to our story. Put yourselves in our shoes and see who's showing hope, who's showing courage, and who's showing resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the voices of the Titanic. I am the voice. I was traveling with my daughter Helen in Egypt when I got a Marconigram telling us my grandchild was very sick back in America. So I traveled to Paris at once and booked the next available steamer back to the States. They're calling it the Titanic, the world's largest ship. My daughter went on to London to have her fun, and to tell you the truth, I was rather glad to have some time alone. My children were grown. There were no parties to organize, no rallies to attend. The entire week lay before me with no one to tend to but myself. That prospect both delighted and terrified me.
Hi, I'm Frankie Goldsmith. I turned 9 last year on the 19th of December. My parents gave me a cat pistol and a book about dragons. It was the best birthday ever. I used to like that my birthday was right before Christmas. The holiday feeling would go on and never stop. Then, last year, just after my birthday, my baby brother Birdie died. Now no one is looking forward to my Christmas birthday. And it's really not fair, since I didn't give Birdie the diphtheria. It just happened. Dad said we need a fresh start, so we're moving to a city called Detroit in America.
My name is Harold Bride. I'm one of the Marconi operators, and my responsibility is to send telegrams. You see, in 1912, there were no telephones from ship to land. The only way our ship was able to communicate with the outside world was through the telegraph system. It's only human, I guess, to feel a bit apprehensive as Titanic steams farther and farther away from land. The passengers can only see water in every direction. And then the sun goes down, and there's only darkness. But us wireless men are different. We look out on the landless vastness and see the invisible waves of electricity. The air is full of good wishes, announcements, arrival times, hellos. We work in 6-hour shifts, or whatever it takes. 6 hours on, 6 hours off. For the next 6 days, we will be Titanic's only ears and Titanic's only voice.
Well, we finally left our home for America. Dad packed his tools into a wooden crate, along with Mom's fancy Singer's sewing machine. I slipped in my cat pistol when no one was looking. It was all so exciting I thought I might burst. Though Mom held my hand too tight and wouldn't allow for any fun at all. I was awake all night wondering how dirty Detroit might be, and wondering about baseball. Isn't it just like cricket? And Titanic? Will there be other boys? And America? Will there be dragons there? And our new house? A bedroom to myself? And our new life? Will Bertie's ghost know where we live? Maybe there will be dragons in the sea. Once we got aboard, I was so excited I nearly jumped out of my knee pants. Mom kept a hand on my shoulder like she always does when she's nervous. She does that. Makes a big deal out of protecting me when she really wants protected herself. Then Daddy lifted me up onto his shoulders and the whole crowd cheered as Titanic started to move.
As Titanic finally headed west towards America, I took a moment in my stateroom to peruse the first-class passenger list and information booklet. It was something of a tradition for me and everyone else traveling in first class. There was a list printed up of everyone traveling in first class, and it was quite a bit of prestige at stake in whom you shared that list with. And I've been playing this game for years. My father, a good man, was an Irish immigrant. I'm not ashamed to say that we were poor, but happy. And I know having money has changed me, and Lord knows I don't want to be poor again. But every once in a while, I actually catch myself believing in all that first-class nonsense, and I have to give myself a good, solid kick in the backside. Still, I kept that first-class passenger list for my scrapbook, and reading through the booklet, I saw the following. First-class passengers are not allowed to enter second or third-class compartments, or vice versa, as complications might arise under the quarantine regulations. Isn't that a stitch? Not long ago, I wasn't even allowed in first class, and now that I'm in it, they won't let me out.
It's Friday, and it's our 3rd day at sea, our first full day away from land. This was the time when the wireless man feels most at home. You see, we sit at our desk and hit the key, dit, dash, 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 dit. I translate those dits and dashes into language. One reads, "Best of luck on your maiden voyage. Godspeed, RMS Titanic." And the Titanic passengers sent their replies, to New York, to London, to Paris, wherever they wished. It seemed there was no corner on earth that could not hear Titanic's voice. I want you to understand, it was my job to deliver messages to the captain. I tried not to pry, but one particular phrase seemed to float up from the notice. It read, "Saw another ice field and 2 huge icebergs." It stuck in my mind. You see, this wasn't the first notice of ice in our path. Word came down from the bridge. The Titanic had finally turned the corner. The news meant that the passengers and crew could breathe easy for a while. But for me, it meant the opposite. To me, it meant that we were finally within range of Cape Race, a tip of land off the Grand Banks that was home to one of the world's largest wireless receiving stations. And boy, were we behind in sending out messages. In fact, we had over 200 yet to send.
The night we struck the iceberg, I was up late reading in my stateroom. The impact knocked me off the bed. I ran to the hallway and saw a bedroom steward telling us very firmly to put on our life jackets and go to the boat deck.
As I sat at the telegraph table, Captain Smith rushed into the room. He says, "I've just got word. We've struck an iceberg and we're taking on water. I need you to send out the call for assistance." What call shall I send? The regulation call for help, along with coordinates. That will do for now. The captain left the room. He did seem calm. On the telegraph, the sparks began to fly. CQD, MGY, CQD, MGY. This call for help went out to every ship within 500 miles of us.
The Titanic man said, "Only women and children." Mom seems nervous. She's protected me again, squeezing my hand and holding me close. She kisses my dad with everyone watching.
So long, Frankie. I'll see you later.
Okay, Dad. Have I told you my dad's the best? He is. That should be enough right there to let him go for a ride in the boat.
There we were, in a large, half-empty lifeboat, 20 or so women and only 2 men to crew us.
I wonder what sort of boat Dad will get. Whoa. Here we go. We're scraping the side of the ship. Why do they get to go but not my dad? Mom tried to protect me when Titanic was about to sink. She held one of my ears against her chest and covered my other ear with her hand. Then, with her free hand, she covered my eyes.
The cold, flat ocean carried the cries of the victims. "We have to go back and save them," I screamed. "We'll do no such thing," the officer said. "It would be suicide. They'd swamp the lifeboats. But we can't just sit here and do nothing." But perhaps he was right. Perhaps that would have been suicide. But that sound, those voices, until my dying day, I couldn't get their cries out of my head.
I watched Captain Smith dive forward into the water. His long blue coat, his neat white beard. He bowed and disappeared. Not 5 minutes earlier, the captain had released us. He said, "You've done your full duty. You can do no more. Abandon your station. Look after yourselves. I release you." But the signal became weaker and weaker as the boilers were being shut down row after row. Then finally we go. We push a collapsible raft from the roof to the deck, but it lands upside down. I jumped on myself, and as I grasp an oar, I go sailing on a wave. I am submerged, gulping of salt water, holding on, and the cold is stabbing me over and over. Finally, when I surfaced, it took a moment to realize that the collapsible boat was still overturned, and that I was underneath it. I lingered a moment in that large pocket of air before swimming out from under and away. I gradually made my way back to the boat and heard an officer taking charge. He asked me, "Were you able to make contact with any ships?" My answer, "Yes, sir. The Carpathia, she's on her way full speed." But what we didn't know in that cold, dark, 28-degree water is it would take the rescue ship over 4 hours to reach us.
When I woke up, the sun was up and we were surrounded by icebergs like frozen floating mountains. I wondered which one was the ice dragon's iceberg that hit us. All of a sudden I heard the cheers. Another steamer ship was near. Likely my father had arranged it. Then the men started rowing like mad. "Dad's sure to see that signal torch," I said to Mom. "There's no way he could miss that." Once we were on the rescue ship, Dad didn't show up before we had to go away. Mom says he'll likely meet us in New York.
So long, Frankie. I'll see you later.
That's what he said. My dad didn't get to be the best tool and die man by saying things he didn't really mean.
I was laid up in the rescue ship Carpathia with bandaged feet. The captain of the Carpathia asked for my help in their wireless room. We received a message from the President of the United States. I reacted, what? It was, indeed. President Taft was seeking information. The whole world wanted to know what happened. The whole world wanted to know the names of the living and the dead.
There was a brilliant thunderstorm that night when our ship got in at New York Harbor. Gosh, I miss my dad. But that doesn't mean I love Mom any less. Dad will have to get a new set of tools. Mom will have to get a new Singer sewing machine. And I guess I'll be needing a new cat pistol, too. Gosh, our family lost a lot when Titanic went down. But we made it. We finally made it.
I may have made it safely to the rescue ship, but I still don't feel safe. No woman is safe truly as long as we are denied equal say, equal rights, equal opportunity, equal wages. But I'll keep this ugly life jacket on over the top of my beaded Parisian gown, and I'll wear it as a reminder that we are not yet standing on solid ground. And as I rock whatever boat I choose, I will ask for justice. And I will not ask pretty.
As we got near New York City, wow! The reporters yelling from the boats all around us reminded me of the sound of people left behind in the water. The sudden flashes from the cameras reminded me of rescue rockets lighting up the dark. The faraway sound of the Salvation Army band reminded me of the band playing as Mom and me got on our lifeboat. I don't know what happened to me, but I started to cry. Just a little bit. Then a lot. Mom held me, and just then I didn't mind a little protection. She looked at me and smiled. And I figured out how maybe one way I could take care of Mom would be to let her take care of me. At least until Dad met up with us in Detroit. And he will. We just have to be patient and watch. I heard him say it clear as day. I heard him say it.
So long, Frankie. I'll see you later.
Titanic, I started the Titanic Relief Fund to help those that lost everything on board the Titanic. I ran for Senate 8 years before women could even vote. I helped start the juvenile court system in America, and I was a human rights advocate around the world. I held 3 college degrees, spoke 5 languages. I passed away in 1932 at the age of 65.
After the sinking, I did not like the attention that Titanic brought into my life. I served as a Marconi officer during World War I, but then gave it up. I eventually married, had 3 children, I moved to Scotland, and I became a traveling salesman. I passed away in 1956 at the age of 66.
After the sinking, my mom and I went to Detroit because that's where my aunts and uncles live. I drove a milk cart for a living. I was an aerial photographer during World War II. I got married, and I had 3 sons of my own and 11 grandchildren. I lived until I was 79 years old when I passed away in 1982. They scattered my ashes over Titanic's wreck site so I could be with my dad again.
Now, we are actors from the Titanic Museum attraction, and we're going to tell you our real names. My name is Jody. I'm from Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and I've been at the museum for 11 years. I either portray a first-class passenger or the unsinkable Molly Brown. Officer Bride, who are you?
My real name is Ryan. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. I've been acting on the stage for 42 years. I've been with Titanic Museum Attraction for 5 years, and I portray an officer, Harold Bride, first-class passenger, Henry Harris, third-class passenger, John Kiernan, and every once in a while, a Scottish officer, and they make me wear a kilt.
Now, Frankie, who are you?
My real name is Lauren. I'm originally from Yorktown, Virginia. I've been with the Titanic for 8 years, almost 9. I portray a first-class maid, Frankie Goldsmith, Leah Axe, Annie Kelly, and Wallace Hartley. Sometimes when you're an actor, a boy may have to play a girl, or a girl may have to play a boy. You may have to play someone older than you or someone younger than you. But they picked me to do Frankie because I'm good at doing a little kid's voice.
Now, at the beginning, I gave you 3 words: hope, courage, and resilience. Each one of us show these words in our lives every day, but we're going to assign a word to one of us. So hope, we gave to Officer Bride. As he was swimming in the ocean and underneath a lifeboat, hope gave him courage and determination and strength to swim to that lifeboat. And then later on the rescue ship, despite having badly frostbitten feet, he sent out hope to the people in America, letting them know if their loved ones were alive. Courage, Molly Brown. She had the courage to stand up in her lifeboat and ask to go help the people in the water. She even had the courage to take control of her lifeboat, get all the women in the lifeboat rowing to keep them warm. On the rescue ship, she had courage to walk up to people and ask them to donate money to those less fortunate than them. And in life in general, she had the courage to stand up, speak out for women, and break the mold that society had made for women in that time. And resilience, Frankie. Even before boarding the Titanic, Frankie's family showed resilience in overcoming the loss of his baby brother Bertie. And even when this 9-year-old's life was turned upside down from the sinking and the death of his father, he bounced back. He overcame that tragedy. He became a prominent member in society, had children, and a very successful life. So we want you to know that you have a voice. You have a chance every day to show hope, courage, and resilience, not just for yourself, but for other people in your life. Now, before we introduce our next guest, I'm going to have a little chat with you. So, let's be honest. How many of you like to build with Legos? I do. What if I gave you a Lego kit with 5,000 pieces in it? That's huge, isn't it? What if I gave you a piece with 10,000 pieces in it? That seems incredible, doesn't it? Well, our next guest built the world's largest Titanic Lego ship. It took over 56,000 Legos, 120 tubes of crazy glue. It only took him 11 months. He was 10 years old at the time, and he's from Iceland. So let's see if we can show you where Iceland is. See where Tennessee is down at the bottom? Look where Iceland is. Yes. This boy was 10 years old. He's from Iceland, and he has autism. Now he's 17 years old, and he wants to come here today to tell you about his autistic journey called his X Factor. So I'd like to introduce to you the Lego boy, Brynjar Karl.
Should we just begin? Yeah, I think so, yeah. Okay. I've read that everyone has a special talent or an X factor. And that is another word for something special. That something special is what makes us all unique. And is why no other two persons are the same. I'm sure you have a very interesting X factor. We all have one. But the question is, when will we find it? You may have found yours already, but if not, you will definitely find it soon. Well, I found my X factor when I was around 10 years old, and I really want to share that story with you, because that is when everything changed for me. But first, I would like to tell you about myself. My name is Brynjar Karl. I was born on the 20th of January 2003 in Reykjavik, Iceland. I was born with 10 fingers and 10 toes, just like most of us. I got bigger and learned new things, just like little children do, and nothing pointed to the fact that I would be any different from other children. I learned to smile, point, crawl, and finally, to walk, like a penguin. Well, I started going to the kindergarten when I was 2 years old, and I got a cut on my forehead, just like most boys get. And I got really good at eating with spoon. I even ate stuff you're not supposed to eat, like sand, flowers, soap, and of course, boogers. And I learned all the letters of the alphabet and how to put them together and create words. Everything seemed normal, but when I turned 3, something happened inside my brain which was going to change everything. Suddenly, I couldn't say all the things I wanted to say. All the words I had learned disappeared into a fog. And so did I, and I felt trapped in my fog. And the words wouldn't come out right, and I wasn't able to put them together correctly. And I changed from a happy boy into an unhappy and lonely boy. Instead of smiles, there were tears. My teachers tried many different ways to help me, but they couldn't find a way to reach into my fog. Neither did my family. When I turned 4, my mom took me to see the doctor. It was a special kind of doctor who could find out why I had disappeared into a fog. And I had to take all kinds of tests. Some were hard, some were easy. And the doctor found out that I have something called autism. And when I got the diagnosis, I was too young to understand what autism was. So my mom decided to wait a while before explaining it to me. And when I was 9 years old, my mom and my big sister explained to me that I had autism. I remember feeling worried because I really didn't know what autism was or what that meant for me. And I asked my mom if there was a pill to cure autism. But she explained there is no medicine to cure autism. And also, no one knows why some people get it and some don't. And it's hard for me to explain how it is to be autistic, because I've always had it, so I don't know anything else. I don't even know how it is to be quote-unquote normal, whatever normal means. And there's also many different kinds of autism. Some people with autism need to be in special schools because they need a lot of help. But others like me can stay in normal schools with some extra help. And kids with autism often misunderstand words. it can be very hard for me to understand the correct meaning of words like cat got your tongue. How can a cat get your tongue? I don't have a cat. Why? It doesn't seem... Seems impossible and just crazy. Hold your horses. I don't have a horse. And even if I had, there's no way I could hold them. Oh, it's a piece of cake. Cake? Do you have cake? It can also be difficult to make friends when you have autism, because you don't know the right way to behave with other people. And that also makes working or playing in a group pretty tricky. And we often feel more comfortable playing on the computer or somewhere else that's peace and quiet. And we who have autism can sometimes be a bit repetitive. But I can tell you that is a good thing, because when you do things over and over and over and over and over and over, you get really good at them. For example, I've been building with Lego. I've been building with Legos ever since I can remember myself. And I have become a talented Lego builder. Then there's my other talent. And I have studied ships a lot. The bigger the ship is, the more I want to know more about them. And these two interests, ships and Lego, would eventually become my X factor. And when I was 10 years old, I learned everything there was to know about the certain ship called the Titanic. For those who don't know it, Titanic was one of the largest steam engine ships in the world. It was 882 feet long. It was really magnificent. But sadly, it sank in the North Atlantic Ocean early morning of 15th of April 1912 after colliding with an iceberg. So almost 108 years ago. Well, I read about the Titanic, I drew the Titanic, I made the Titanic cake, I finished the Titanic jigsaw puzzle, I built a model of the Titanic, I dreamt about the Titanic as well. Then one day, I decided that I wanted to build the Titanic out of Lego, in the same scale as the original ship, given that a Lego man was the same size as an average person. I just had to build that amazing ship, and there was not a doubt in my mind that I could do it. And this decision became my new obsession. But my obsession helped me through the finish line. My grandfather helped me create Lego instructions by using the original blueprints of the Titanic. When we had scaled it down to Lego man size, we were able to estimate the amount of bricks needed to build the ship. And I managed to raise enough money to buy all the Lego bricks with crowdfunding. It took me 11 months and 700 hours to build my 26-foot-long Lego Titanic replica using over 56,000 bricks. And I came every day after school to build. And I had visitors coming every day, giving me a helping hand. And today, my Lego Titanic replica is in safe hands at the Titanic Museum attraction here in Pigeon Forge. But what's more important, and why I stand here on this stage, is what I have discovered. It was much bigger than my ship. I learned what really drove me to the finish line, and it was not only my obsession. This discovery I have to share with others. It's a discovery for all of us that are chasing a dream and would like to turn it into a reality. Okay, number one, you have to believe. And I really, really believed that I could build the Titanic. Number two, you need the right team to help you get you there. Then obviously, I have my family and friends. Number 3, never, 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 never give up. They will be full of obstacles. But the thing is, you will overcome them with the help of your team, and you believe you can do anything. Trust me. And like I said, there is no pill to cure autism, and I don't know if in my lifetime there will ever be a cure. But if that would happen, I don't know if I would like to take that pill. I'm fine with having autism, as long as you are okay with me being a little bit different. I'm perfectly okay. Being different is not so terrible. I want to believe it's more interesting. And the good news is that we who have autism can train our weaknesses and become stronger citizens. I'm a living proof, and many other. Autism does not have to be a negative thing. It can be a gift. And it all depends on how we look at it. I prefer to look at it as a positive thing. Thank you so much.
Now we're going to take questions. If you have a question, raise your hand. We have some of our crew throughout the auditorium that can grab you and see what questions you have. I always like to start it out first by showing you how big his Titanic is, because 26 feet sound big, but until you see it, you can't really grasp it. So I'm going to be the back of the ship. I'm going to be the stern of the ship, and I'll let Brynjar Karl be the front.
All right. So, oh, this long.
That long, it's about this tall, about this wide.
About this.
Yeah. So yes, it's huge. It came in 3 pieces. Each piece weighed a little over 200 pounds, so it was about 650 pounds for us to get it here. So if you have a question.
He wants to know, did you build the Titanic yourself, or did you have help?
Did you have help?
I had help. Obviously, my amazing mother helped me create the Lego Titanic, and also I had my grandfather who helped me create the instructions. But this was no ordinary instructions. We had to predict. If you know what algebra is, it's kind of like that. You need to predict what everything is. And we also had visitors coming to the building, and we had people helping out more than every single day, I think so. So it was really fun.
Is it a movie? Yes. The documentary is a movie.
A documentary is like a movie about real life. You'll not only meet Brynjar Karl, but several other adults that have autism. One of them actually works at our ship.
How much did it cost to build the Lego Titanic?
I don't know in dollars, but we use another currency in Iceland. It's called krona. It was about, what, 300, 500,000 krona? And I asked my friend how much it cost. He said it was...
Just around $100,000.
Yes. It's about 100.
So do you think Brynjar's mother had $100,000? So they have something called crowdfunding. So that's what we call GoFundMe. So if you actually go to YouTube and put Lego Boy, all of his videos that he did from 10 years old and up about how he got all the Lego bricks and the money to build his Lego. Lauren?
I'm sorry. You'll have to speak up, honey. I can't hear you. Did he work on it at the weekends too?
When did you work on it and how long?
Every single day, but not Christmas. I mean, who can not miss Christmas? I mean, come on.
Michelle, do you have anyone up there?
Yeah.
It's the Titanic.
So let them know how, like when you thought of the idea, when you started it, when you finished it.
So it was kind of a two-part scenario. So I learned obviously everything there was to know about the Titanic when I was 10 years old. Been working on it for maybe over a year. But I went to Legoland. Has anyone been here to Legoland? Yeah, but you see all of those like life scale models of maybe like spaceships, Star Wars minifigures and stuff, everything real size. So I was 6 years old back then, and I asked myself, I see myself, I want to make something like this. I want to make something that is in real life scale as like minifigure. And I thought that was a great idea. At the time, I loved like steam trains. But obviously, making a steam train with the size of a Lego figure, it's not really original, is it? So obviously, I stumbled upon the history and the story about the Titanic, and that really came upon like after that.
Sparked your interest.
Yes.
And how old were you when you completed it?
Was about 12 or 13 years old, so I began 11 years old.
Yeah.
Ooh, a good question. He asked, did it ever break? How many times? And which one was the worst?
Don't make me sad, please.
So let's start with when you were building it, did it ever break?
Yes, while building session, obviously it would break. You see how the back ship is made on the
See how it goes out over there at the back of the ship?
the left side? You know how it's like angled? Yeah, that's a huge piece. And making that such an angle for Lego it would be very vulnerable, right? And obviously hard. So I had to glue the pieces. But the thing is, glue and plastic doesn't really mix well with it. It makes them together better, but it melts them together. So it really just, you can't reuse the Lego bricks if it breaks. So it was a really hard part, so I had to do the back part 3 times. One part it fell, the second part my mother did it, but I didn't like it because of my OCD, so it was just very long. And the third time, it finally worked out.
And then what happened is his Lego ship was in Germany. And we decided we wanted it. And they put it the front end on a forklift and they picked it up and it fell. So then how did you feel?
You're gonna make me sad. Well, while asking these questions, you're gonna make me feel sad. But obviously, yeah, this was a bad time. Because that was at the time when the ship was done. So everything was completed. There's no like going back and like redoing something. And it was shipping from Norway to America. But obviously, she said the forklift it fell. So the whole front part broke. I'm not talking about maybe the funnel or maybe a little bit part. Everything was in pieces. So around maybe 20,000, 30,000 bricks.
So did you ever feel like giving up whenever you had your breaks?
Obviously, yes. But the thing is, you don't want to, because you've come so far, you don't want to let people down, right? See, because people are here to help you achieve your goals. And I just didn't want to say, I want to stop. Then I would feel bad for crowdfunding, people giving money to let me have crowdfund their money to make me build the ship. That would make me feel really bad. So I had the courage to go forward and finish the ship. And the thing is, about the ship breaking, the front part, that is in the documentary. The whole story is there. And my mother was live reporting every single moment when she told me that, without me knowing it.
Us moms are good at that.
What?
Lauren, do you have any?
Black. Forgot. I couldn't hear you. How many times did it fall apart?
How many times did it fall apart?
So all in all, but all in all, think about 8 times. But mostly, we had
The big one did it.
Yeah, the big one obviously was the primary one. But obviously, the front part was kind of hard to make because that was the first place I wanted to make like edges. If you know how Titanic is built, it's like a knife more under, and then it goes like in this. How do you say it?
A V almost. Like
Yeah, in a V, but it makes the V bigger when you go more up. And that was the first part I was trying to angle things.
Michelle?
Did you ever fall asleep on top of the Legos when you were building it?
Did you ever get tired and fall asleep on the Legos?
I once slept in my ship, yeah. So basically, there was one report that because when we were building the ship, like there was just a hole in the whole ship, so we didn't make any supports first. So I would be able to like, just sit plank in the middle of like some type of Dracula or something.
Yeah. That's a popular question. Everyone wants to know what's in the ship. So there's no rooms in the ship, but he does have columns for support and styrofoam.
How do you explain this from boring?
Technical.
there's
I prefer
styrofoam.
technical.
There are pillars. It's amazing.
I prefer technical.
Wait, what?
Overall, what keeps it together?
Overall, what kept it together is just Lego. But no. I understand the question. We used styrofoam to hold like the middle part because working with styrofoam is kind of hard. It's not something that you just cut up like scissors or something. And we have to work on a really big time with the middle part. So basically put the styrofoam in the middle. The back side was a little bit more complicated. That's the only part that we had to use actual steel to hold the thing up, whole thing like together because of its shape. And the front part was Duplo.
Lauren, we'll do 3 more questions. Lauren?
Did you ever get bullied for building the Titanic or being a Titaniac?
That made it more interesting. But no, actually, people were interested. The first, when they heard about the story, that was like, oh, you're making a ship. Like, they're being sarcastic. So, but when the first news came to me, and they asked me a couple of questions, I went on the television. That is when everyone was like, what? Oh, okay, so we're actually doing it? And they became more interested, but obviously, over the years, I was still treated like, I wouldn't say bad, but I wasn't always like a part of the team most of the times. But now I'm in college, and everyone's absolutely loving me.
You play soccer.
Yes, I do.
Badminton.
Yeah, I've been playing soccer for 2 years, 8 years in badminton.
Michelle?
Did you ever get so mad that you quit?
I obviously have tantrums and just anger because of something breaking. Obviously you feel mad because maybe you do a mistake and you feel bad. But obviously the obsession kept me going and not letting people down because of the crowdfunding. That kept me more going. Obviously you have to release some bit of anger, but not on a person. I just watch a wall and just...
Ryan?
Alright, I'm screaming.
Can the Lego ship float?
Can it float?
I wish.
Would be nice.
But obviously styrofoam, if you know what styrofoam is, it just deteriorates in the water. So I think, and obviously 600, wow,
Pounds,
650 pounds. Obviously, the Titanic's much heavier. The original ship was like 46,000 tons. But I
Michelle?
wish, no it doesn't, sorry.
Michelle?
Talk a little bit about writing your book.
about your book. Can you tell them about your book, about writing it?
Well, the book is about my story of building the Titanic. The book is around 4 years old, so it was at the prime of my time when I was making the ship. This is basically about my story on how I tackled obstacles when I was younger and overcame my autistic fog.
If you saw the drawings, did you see the pictures, the paintings? That's in his book.
Yeah.
So, you know, we all are different, and we shouldn't feel sad for being different. We should embrace it, right?
There's nothing wrong being different. I mean, triplets, twins, they can be different. I mean, it's true.
Yes. Now, this fascinates all the schools that we've been to. So, Brynjar Karl is from Iceland. So, who do you think were the first people in Iceland? Who do you think? Someone holler name out.
Russian.
Vikings. Very good. So I know Vikings are real popular right now. There's a show. There's several shows. So the Vikings and the Iceland. Iceland speaks a certain language. Does anyone know what that language is? I heard it. Icelandic. Very good. So the Icelandic language has not changed in 2,000 years. So what that means is if I had a letter from a Viking 2,000 years ago, he could read it.
And also, and I'm not saying this just for fun, and I'm saying this to be absolutely truthful, if you would give a second grader or a first grader in Icelandic schools, if they know Icelandic, they can also understand 2,000-year-old letters or books in Viking time.
So this language is like you're going to speak like a Viking. So we're going to give...
But I forgot to say, obviously, you see like the numerals with like lines and like... Have any of you like seen how like these numerals look like? No. The letters have changed, but not the language.
Not the language. So, we're going to learn some words in Icelandic. Are you ready? So, you came from a school. So, how do you say school?
Well, school is skóli in Icelandic. Skóli. Skóli.
Okay. Now, all of you are students. So, how do you say students?
Students in Icelandic is nemendur. So with a rolling R, if you can do a rolling R, you've perfected the Icelandic.
I can't roll my R's. And who brought you here? Your teachers. How do you say teacher?
Well, teachers in Icelandic is kennari.
Now, in this auditorium, we have boys and girls. So how do you say boys?
Boys are strákar.
And girls?
Girls are stelpur.
And I'm sure at some time today, they're going to use a pencil.
Pop quiz, no.
Pop quiz, no, pencil.
But a pencil in Icelandic is called blýantur.
Now, you don't have to repeat after us. I'm going to have Brynjar Karl count to 10. Okay?
Fast or slow?
Slow so they can understand you.
Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
And then, I've been with Brynjar Karl all week, and he told me that in Iceland, they have a word that's 64 letters long. Can you imagine having that on your spelling test? So, he's going to tell us that 64-letter word. Are you ready? Listen very closely. Okay.
Do you want me to say slow or fast?
Medium.
I'll say slow to make it more understandable. Okay. Vaðla heiðar, vega vinnu, verkfæra, geymslu, skúri, útidyra, lyklakippa hringur.
That's one word. One word. Now, let's find out what it means. It's very specific. So what does it mean?
It's a keychain beside a shed in a place in Iceland called Vaðla heiði.
So it's basically, it's talking about a specific keychain.
Yeah.
That big long word.
You want me to see how to say it fast?
Yeah, say it fast.
Like, okay, let's go to for you especially. Vaðla heiðar, vega vinnu, verkfæra, geymslu, skúri, útidyra, lyklakippa hringur.
This is my favorite of all time, and it's how they say goodbye in Icelandic. So how do you say goodbye?
Bless, bless.
Bless, bless. So with that, we thank you for coming and joining us, and we send you off with bless, bless. Bless, bless.
Well, the documentary was made mostly by my mother. She is a producer, and she knows how to make like really good movies. She made another documentary about women on the autism spectrum, and me and her were thoughting of an idea that, oh, she made such a great documentary, maybe we could have the same between me when I was making the shit. And well, we had the idea, and we had this. My mom made the script. She showed me to it, and I was like, "Sure, let's do it." Yeah. And the footage in the documentary is made maybe a year ago, so maybe in August, September. So it was like beginning of winter in Iceland. Well, first it was an idea, and well, me and my mom weren't expecting that we would get the attention that we thought we were going to get. And I just wanted to, the first thing that I want to answer, that I just wanted to make the Titanic just for pure fun, and because I went to Legoland when I was 6 years old. I looked at all of these like life scale models, and they're so cool, like the Saturn V rocket, the size of a Lego figure. I said to myself, hey, I want to make something like this. But at the time, I like steam trains, so making a life-scale model with the steam trains doesn't seem original and big. I wanted something more challenging, and that's why I stumbled upon the Titanic and its history, and I wanted to know more about the ship. So the idea came when I was 10 years old, and while we were building it, this was more like a hobby, so we just have a lot of fun making the ship, me and my mother, also my grandfather and family as well. I just had a lot of fun making the ship. Obviously there were some accidents and right there, but we had the most amazing time of our life by building the ship. Well, the quote that I always tell everybody, that I want to believe that autism is something interesting rather than a bad word or something negative, because I see in my school that many jocks and like the bad girls are using this kind of sentence, like saying, "Oh, you're a bad person," "Oh, you're something," that like it uses like as a curse word in their way. But obviously, they're far from wrong. I see it personally. I just see it as a superpower. I mean, we are so like we don't even know what's going on, but we can do stuff that no one can do. That's what I think is amazing about this. So don't. I'm just saying to the kids, don't feel bad if you're a little bit different. I mean, you name me one person that just, even a twin or a triplet or quadruplet, anything. Tell me one thing that is same. What is same about them? Sure, maybe have the same blood type. Maybe have their same interest, but they think also differently, and that makes them different. We all here have a different brain. No one is here the same. So that's my message.